YouTube channel. Learners from Kenneth Masekela High School had a request that I analyze this book, My Children, My Africa. So yes, on this video I'll be providing a brief summary of what the book is basically about, and then on my next videos I'll be reviewing or analyzing Act 1, Scene 1, and so forth. Thereafter, on the last video regarding this book, I will provide some of the common exams questions that will help you prepare for the English paper 2 final exam or June exam, any exam. Yes, so yeah, let's get into the summary. So the setting of the book, My Children, My Africa, is apartheid South Africa in 1984. So when we talk about a setting, we are talking about where the story or where the drama takes place. So you must keep this one in mind, that the setting of this book is apartheid South Africa in 1984. So yeah, let's get into the summary. So in this book we find Mr. Anela Miyalakia, who is a dedicated teacher and principal at Zolile High School. So I'll be using Mr. M because along the book or throughout the book he is referred to as Mr. M. So yes, Mr. M is a dedicated teacher and principal of Zolile High School. He is against the apartheid education system, but he believes in education. So Mr. M was in between. He was against the apartheid education system. On the other hand, he believes in education. He believes that his learners have to be educated. So since this book, the entire book is about apartheid, the schools were completely segregated by race. So what they mean about schools being completely segregated by race, they means that there were schools that were specifically for black people. There were also schools that were specifically for white people only. So that's what they mean when they say schools were completely segregated by race. But Mr. M invites a class of white girls to debate with the learners of color from his school. So Mr. M invited the class of these girls in order to work towards racial segregation. Remember, schools were completely segregated by race. There were schools only for whites, schools only for blacks. So Mr. M goes out of his way and invites white learners from Kamdibu High School into his school so that they have a debate with black learners from Zolile High School. He was basically trying to demonstrate or show that black people and white people can work together effectively. I hope we are together. So during this debate, Isabel Dyson debates against the brightest student, Tami Mbikwana. Isabel and Tami take a liking to each other. Thereafter, Isabel is invited to participate in an English literature contest with Tami. So you see, at first Mr. M invited white girls from Kamdibu High School to come and have a debate at his school. Secondly, Mr. M invited Isabel to participate in an English literature with Tami. So this was his way of showing that black people or black learners and white learners can work together effectively. So yes, Isabel and Tami build a close relationship. Mr. M dreams of Tami as a leader that will put an end to apartheid through his brilliance. Remember, I did mention that Tami was one of the brightest students at Zolile High School. So Mr. M believes in him that at some point he will put an end to apartheid through his brilliance. But Tami, on the other hand, he sees Bantu education as a trap. Since the setting is apartheid South Africa in 1994, it means black learners were still under Bantu education. So Tami sees this kind of education, Bantu education, as a trap that is set to catch their minds and souls. He then decides to join a school boycott. The school boycott escalated. It it became a huge thing. It escalated, and Mr. M refuses to take part of the boycott. Remember, Mr. M valued education. However, he is alarmed and devastated by the effects of this boycott on his students' lives, as well as the disruption of their education. Because when learners boycott, the school is most likely to be damaged, right? Yes. So hence he was devastated, looking at his learners boycotting, looking at the school being damaged. Yes, one may put it that way. So Mr. M then decides to give the names of some activists to the police in an attempt to bring an end to the boycott. So since Mr. M refused to join the boycott, and since he also witnessed or saw how the school boycott is affecting the students' lives as well as the school, he decided to give out the names of the students activists to the police with an attempt to put an end on the school boycott. So Mr. M is branded as an informer. The student activists brand him as an informer. Remember, Mr. M was a person of color. He was black, but he gives out a list of his students to the police. So the student activists, they feel as if Mr. M sold them out to the police. Hence, they branded him as an informer. So now Tammy comes to school to warn Mr. M about the plan to burn down the school and kill him. So the students were very angry to an extent that they decided to burn down the school. They were also planning or plotting to kill Mr. M. So Tammy goes to Mr. M and he warns him of what was about to happen. But Mr. M, he refuses to flee. He refuses to leave the school. Instead, he goes out to confront the angry crowd, and he is killed while ringing the school bell. Tammy then decides to flee the country because his name was also on the list of suspects. His name was also on the list of suspects of people who killed Mr. M. So then, in order to protect himself from being arrested by the police, he flees the country. He runs away because his name was also on the list of suspects of killers who killed Mr. M. I hope we are still together, okay? So now Isabel stays behind and he follows Tammy's advice. Since Mr. M was no more, Tammy advised Isabel that she goes to Wapasbek Pass and pay her last respects to Mr. M. So yes, Isabel goes to Wapasbek Pass to pay her last respects to Mr. M. Wapasbek Pass is whereby Mr. M was inspired to become a teacher. So Isabel goes there to pay her last respects to Mr. M. So that's basically what is happening on this book, My Children, My Africa, and I hope that this summary was clear and that it will come in very handy to you guys. Yes. So yeah, on my next video I'll be explaining Act 1 Scene 1 as well as Act 2 Scene 2. Yes, yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. If you need some more clarification, just comment down below and then I will get back to you. That's it for today. Stay safe. Thank you.